This is Eric Umwathe with Umwathe.com. This is January the 26th, 2011. Now, the reason why I've decided I'm going to be making videos from time to time to beef up and to go back and revisit some of the material on the My Secrets segment of the website. And folks, guys, friends, I have to tell you something. This stuff really is powerful. I mean, under the My Secrets tab, I'm sure you've looked at it, but the ultimate Umwathe breakout, the 3-year monthly chart, I guarantee you that is the template. It is the map. It is the GPS, whatever you want to call it, whatever cliche you want to use. But I guarantee you folks, the ultimate Umwathe breakout in its simplest forms when you use it. Now, you're not going to get results with every pick, but I have not seen. Now, what is really amazing to me, it's amazing to me, I've known this for years, but it's only until 2007. It's only until 2007, around June, that I put that in the form of an article and a video and a series of videos about the ultimate Umwathe breakout. And what is really strange is that here we are, going into 3.5 years. Very soon it's going to be 4 years after I made the secret public. Now, I'd known about it in my internal research work. This is all my work, and it's amazing to me. I don't remember ever seeing any stock, any market, any sector, any instrument, you name it, bonds, commodities, it doesn't matter, anything that has human beings trading. When you use the 3 months ultimate Umwathe breakout template, where the RSI is moving to a new three-year high, minimum 3-year high, and the MACDs are making 3-year highs, my friends, I haven't seen any stock that made any move. I don't care what it is, don't care, you name it, it had to have given you that perfect formation. And so here I am, redoing this video. Just take a look at 1 or 2 stocks, and it just amazes me that those of us who use this, it's powerful. When you see it in action, and like I've seen it for years, it's probably going on to 5-6 years that I've used this, and the last 4 years since I made it public, this stuff works. It's amazing to me. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the breakouts will work, but it just means that if you find those set of circumstances when you're buying a stock, and especially if and I was wondering about this, I don't think on a prior, I might have to go back and do a video on, and I'll do that in the next probably coming days or so. I need to do a video that talks about the original Umwathe breakout. Now, the one I'm talking about is what I call the ultimate Umwathe breakout. But there used to be another one that was purely based on my 2000 work on the market, and it's called the Umwathe breakout. It's based on a weekly chart. It's very simple and also very powerful, but it ballooned into something else when I put the ultimate Umwathe breakout, and when I found the minimum requirements that make stocks just take off. When they do, they don't move. No stock is going to give you superb results without fulfilling the ultimate Umwathe breakout. And some of the principles you find on the My Secrets, none. I have yet to see one over the last 5 years. None. Now, I just want to talk about URZ in this current day. I don't know when you're going to be looking at the video. You might be looking at the video 2 years from January of 2011, or maybe you're going to look at it. But in this market right here, right now, we have the rare metals, commodity stocks doing very well. Now, I own this one. I've owned it for a while. It's URZ. It's been one that I keep bringing back to the members to keep looking at it ever since it broke out above around this 320 area and also above this 380 area. It has had a nice run. Now, what is it? Because this is a learning video. One of the things I want you to remember is you always want a stock that has had a move to the 69.5 area of the market. 69 point. Actually, the number is 69.10. Now, this number is very significant, and again, I'm going to take a note. I need to make another video explaining why this number 50 is very important, and I hope I'm not going to mess this up, but I believe I might, so forgive me. I think the other important number is, it's been a while since, sometimes I forget these things. 30.90. These are very important RSI numbers, and a lot of people, like you'll notice, stock charts will always put this line here around 70. They'll put a line around 50, and they'll put a line around 30. So a lot of the technicians have recognized that there's something about this area, but I'm telling you to the T, to the last decimal point. That's the number, that's the number, and that's the number, and they are all based on a very simple mathematical calculation. 69.10, 50, and 30.90. When a stock is moving above those numbers on the monthly chart, on the weekly chart, on the daily, on the hourly, on the 30-minute chart, 50, it doesn't matter the time frame. When it's moving above those numbers, or above or below it, you'll see a big move. That is not even a question of is it true. Let me look here. Here's a stock. It's moving above right here. Let me just give you an example right here, right there. Mid-October, it's moving above 69.10 for the first time in years, and that happens to be right there, somewhere here, and it moves from $2 to $4 in about 3-4 weeks. That's what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? This change in psychology, change in sentiment, change in consciousness, change in awareness. When that happens, things change. And I'm not trying to say that you have to necessarily always find stocks that are doing that, but it helps you in understanding why stocks behave the way they do. It's very important, and the reverse is true. Take a look. It moved below 50 here, and you see this break from here, which is from about $2 all the way to above. It's close to about $1.25. So that's an 80%. It's 80%, but it's a big drop from $2.80. I'm talking about what, 60% drop. So you can't use them all the time. But here's another move. Moving above 50, you have this big move here. This is the way stock. This is the true technical understanding of a stock. Now, why do I talk about that? Because the original Moa, the breakout, recognized that there was something that happens to a stock, and you always want to buy a stock that has already demonstrated an ability, or the ability on the weekly chart, to move above 69. Now, and that's why, let's say, even in this particular chart right here, this stock was never a buy, because it had never demonstrated, and you want it to move. Okay, this is kind of hard for me to explain, so I'm gonna have to do a video. But let's say this is 69.9, 69.10. A stock needs to have touched this area at least once in the preceding 6 months, at least once in the months leading up to the time it's breaking out. If it's breaking out and it had not moved above 69 in the last 6 months, the stock does not have power. And the way I look at it, the stock needs to have exercised, it needs to have stretched itself, it needs to have shown you potential, it needs to have captured the attention of momentum players at least 6 months before it breaks out again. And so you'll notice that this move here this move here above 69 corresponds to this move from around here to where it's trading at right now. Now I'm gonna clear that, but I know I've run around, and I'll need to make a video. So if it's try and search for it under the My Secrets tab, it's gonna be called the Moade Breakout, and that's purely a weekly. And the Moade Breakout, if I need to explain this even now in brief so that you can, next time you see it, you recognize it. The Moade Breakout is very simple. It says when a stock is breaking out on a weekly chart, for example, here, when a stock is breaking out on a weekly chart above this average here, and let me check something. I am sure there is a video. It's been a while. The My Secrets tab has been up and running for the last 4 or 5 years. So there's some things that the material is not necessarily new, but it's golden. There's a rub, right? But you always want your breakout to be a minimum 4 weeks. Minimum 4 weeks old. And you'll see me repeat this a lot. In other words, the week with the highest close is week 1, just like right there. No, like this area here. Okay, so what you want is a high, and then you want 2 weeks of rest minimum. It can be 50 weeks after that or whatever, but the minimum is 4 weeks. Don't ask me why. That's just how it works. And you want a minimum on the 4th week. It moves back above this prior weekly closing high, just like it did here. It had a 1 week makes a high, and then for 2 weeks, this week and this week almost closed above it but did not, and then on the 4th week it breaks out. You want a minimum, and that's why I was flashing this as a breakout for my subscribers. Now the stock didn't do much the next couple of 4 or 5 weeks, and sometimes you can't control that. Markets pull back, and you always want to be lucky and find the one that never looks back, but it is the market. Things happen. You're just availing yourself to an opportunity. So what I'm saying is the ultimate Moade Breakout, the Moade Breakout, the original Moade Breakout, which is I still have to incorporate in the ultimate Moade Breakout, is on the weekly chart. You want a weekly breakout on the price. That's very simple. And then you want your breakout to be the RSI going back above 69.10. It used to be, I used to say 68 or 69, but I know now for a fact it's 69.10. 69.10. Okay, so you want it to be going back to 69.10 at least within, again, in other words, it had traded within 69.10 in the last 6 months. If it hasn't been above 69.10 or around, very close to 69.10, if it hasn't, then don't touch it. That's a breakout that's not going to work. And sometimes they do, but usually they don't. You also want on the ultimate, on the original Moade Breakout, you want volume to be above average on the breakout. That's standard. You want volume to be average, and you want week number 1 and week number 2 of the to be a follow through. You want your breakout week to be followed by the subsequent week by another positive close. In other words, a follow through. You want breakout. This is in an ideal situation. I know I've kind of gone off what I was going to talk about originally, but look, these videos are meant to be educational. I just decided to make a video in 2 minutes, and here I am running my mouth. So, but you want a breakout at least 2 weeks minimum, 2 weeks of rest, and anywhere from the 4th week onwards. It could be the 4th week, the 5th week, the 10th week, 30th week, it doesn't matter. You want the breakout. Now the breakout, this breakout is what you call a close above this price is week number 1 of a breakout. And you always want the second week in an ideal situation. You want the second week to be follow through. Okay, now some of the things you're going to learn in the stock market is it's not always perfect. For example, I just noticed while I was making this video, you see this stock here broke out and failed the second week. That's a bad behavior. But if you take these highs here, and if maybe the market decided to use the daily closing highs, and you can see once it broke out, we had week 1 right there, and week 2 was a positive follow through. Now that is very important. Why? If you don't get a weekly follow through, you have to make sure you get a daily follow through. So it's possible that even in these failed breakouts here, oh man, I hope I'm not confusing you. What I'm saying is that even in this failed breakout, it's important for you to understand the minute details of a market. Even in this failed breakout here, on the second week, it closed below this point. But what I am saying is that you might go back and look at the daily chart and notice that in the first week of January, that there was a breakout and a follow through on the daily chart. Now, I'm gonna attempt and see what happened on the daily. Just give me a second here because I want this video to be a little bit more helpful. So let's look at the behavior in January. Now, if you look at the behavior in January, again you'll see even the January, it's very hard to see, but I am suspecting, even though I'm not concretely sure, is that if we take the breakout on the daily and draw a line there, let me take that off, just make sure I'm not confusing it. Well, it seems to me that there was no follow through on the daily. There was no, but what I'm going to do, let me backtrack and see what the weekly breakout. Hold on a second. I might explain something to you here. Now remember, I know this is not the most constructive and organized video, but I guarantee you, as you consider what I'm saying and as you experience the market, it's gonna start making a little bit more sense. But what I'm saying is the breakout point on the weekly was about $3.80 right here, $3.80. Okay, and I'm talking about this area here, this close, $3.80, somewhere around there was the breakout point on the weekly chart. Now I'm gonna go back and look at this again from the daily chart. Okay, all right. So from the daily chart, let's see what we have here. All right, now from the daily, you'll notice $3.80 is gonna be somewhere. It's gonna be somewhere around here. You see what I'm saying? And if that is true, then you'll see that there was a breakout. That even though there's a breakout and a follow through here, so you see that even though the weekly failed, but if you are looking at it from a daily perspective, it had 2 days of close above $3.80. So in other words, if you are not sure that you want to continue holding on to the stock because it failed to follow through on the weekly chart, at least you can see elements of it holding on to 2 days of a breakout on the daily chart, and hence the reason to hold on to the stock. And that could have been profitable because the stock is now trading at $5.50. Does that make sense? Maybe not, but in other words, the weekly was not perfect, was no follow through, but the daily showed signs of the stock holding on to gains above breakout levels. I hope that's, if it's not making sense, forgive me, but I tried there. But I'm gonna move on here. So now, URZ, the mother breakout, you want a weekly breakout. You want the RSI moving back above 69.10 within 6 months of having been above 69.10 on the weekly. That is a requirement. You want above average volume. You want the stock to follow through on week number 2. Very important, on the mother breakout, you want the stock to break out to new highs on its own balance volume. You can see it's breaking out to new highs. It's breaking out to new highs on the on balance volume. That's what you want during the breakout. If you have a breakout on the weekly chart with an unbalanced volume making a new high, those stocks tend to have a lot of power. And stocks that struggle don't have an unbalanced volume breakout. It's called the OBV. Again, you might have to read up on that online on what an unbalanced volume is. I used to have a lot of material back in the day that explained what that meant, but it's an OBV. It's just an accumulation of volume. Tells you whether institutions are piling in over months or they're getting out of a stock over many months. When institutions are piling into a stock, when they've been accumulating shares over a period of time, it's called accumulation. Okay, when they've been slowly buying up a stock before it moves, it's called accumulation. That's a technical term. If they're selling stock over a period of time and the unbalanced volume is going down, it's called distribution. They're selling at very small amounts over time and getting out of a position. You always want to be on the side of the institutions because they are the ones that ultimately are moving the stock. The Moade breakout also demands that performance against the S&P 500 make a new high, just like it did here. Performance against the S&P 500 on a weekly chart needs to make a new high if the stock is to do wonders, just like it's doing in this particular situation. The ultimate Moade breakout, or the Moade breakout of old, does not concern itself too much with the MACDs. Anyway, that's that. But my reason for making this video was actually to talk about the ultimate Moade breakout. And the ultimate Moade breakout dictates that a stock should move its RSI on the monthly chart up to a new 3-year high, and that corresponds with this breakout there. At this particular point here, the stock was making a 3-year high on its monthly RSI, and that corresponds with this move here. Ever since that time, the stock has been up from about $1.50 all the way to $5.50. Now, I told you the ultimate Moade breakout will not fail you. You're not going to find a stock that's going to have a massive return without fulfilling these very simple things. The ultimate Moade breakout also demands that. Now remember, the ultimate Moade breakout does not involve itself with volume or unbalanced volume, or has nothing to do, not necessarily, doesn't have, it has some a little bit of application when it comes to its performance against the S&P 500, but it's more about the MACDs making a new 3-year high, just like it did somewhere around here, right here. All right. So when the MACD made a 3-year high, and that's all. The Moade breakout is very simple: RSI and the MACD mainly. So, and also you'll notice that another thing that was going on, the reason why I've been recommending this stock to subscribers, is I was very aware of the fact that URZ had the potential of forming the first Moade mountain. Is that what I call it? Yeah, the first Moade mountain. Look that up. Moade's first mountain under the My Secrets tab. Moade's first mountain. Now you can see it hasn't made this mountain going back to a couple of years. So not only is it making 3-year highs, it is moving above 69.10. Very big development. 69.10 is huge on the monthly. I cannot emphasize that enough. A stock moving above 69.10 on the monthly, when you hold all other things constant, is perhaps the most powerful thing you can see in a stock. Please ingrain that in your head. When a stock is moving above 69.10 on the monthly, that is power behind it. There is power. It is unbelievable. When things work out, you'll be astonished. Here's an example of a stock making its Moade's first mountain, a huge thing. It's moving above 69.10 for the first time in years, and it's already up 37% this month alone. Okay, not bad. It's one of the better gainers in the market now. I want to make this video not too short, not too long, so I'm going to kind of try and see how I can summarize. And then maybe what I was going to do is I'm going to, if you can bear with me here. So the MACDs are behaving. Everything looks good on this one. Could see higher prices, don't know. You can always check back and see what happened to this one. But I want to go back and take a look at some other stocks that in the here and now have been doing great. And what you'll see is that all of them, and I'm just gonna, let me show you the monthly chart for URZ, multi-year monthly. Now this is the all-time monthly chart for URZ, and you can see that I like it because every time it moves above 69.10 in the past, it always has a sharp penetration. You always want a sharp penetration above 69.10. The sharper the penetration, the sharper the history of moving above 69.10, the better. Okay? Now, because that shows you just power, tremendous power or potential. Let me go back and just quickly go look at a few stocks that have done well over the last couple of months. And let's take a look at here's one that I had also was a pick for subscribers. Here's a stock again moving from 250. I mean, take a look at this move. It's exciting, man. From 250 to almost $10 within a month, and about within couple of, because this is continuous move, in about 5 weeks. From 250 to $10. I mean, are you kidding me? Again, it's also in the mining space. So you always remember, guys, try and stick with the sectors that are hot. They don't always have to be successful, but if you want to make money, you always have to go with the theme. What's hot? What's today's fashion? What's the fashion? Where is money going to? Where is the market's attention? And there are always niches, small stocks that nobody knows about in hot sectors. Now look at the angle of penetration. I mean, this is perfect. Now you see the angle of penetration above 50 was also sharp. You want more than a 45-degree angle penetrating above as it moves above 50. Almost the same angle, even sharper as it moved above 69.10. And that was here. This area here was when it was moving above 69.10. Very powerful stuff, guys. Now let's take a look at something else here. Now take a look at the OBV and the MACDs. Everything was moving. Now this one did not, right here, move to a 1-year high. Okay, it was close to in November and December, but it moved to a new high in January on the 3-year MACD. Now, and these settings, these are my own proprietary setting for the MACD, and it works, people. This is time tested. I'm talking, when I initially made these videos on the Ultimate Mother Breakout, you could say, we've not seen this in action. But if you've been following my work, you know by now that this is the most powerful. And I've looked around. This is very powerful, very simple. I mean, you're looking at how many indicators? Only the RSI on the monthly and the MACDs on the monthly. That's it, guys. It takes you a second to make a decision. But here's one of the great winners this last couple of weeks. Again, you see the Ultimate Mother Breakout all over it. Let's take at Lululemon. A great name for a retail store. Again, Lululemon. Here it is. Okay, now take a look at when it moved above, when the MACD and the RSI made a 3-year all-time high in February of 2010. That was a breakout. I mean, look at that breakout. Perfect, classic. Look, it breaks out right there, and that since then it's been up from $30 all the way to $75 in about 9 months. Also notice it's starting to move again. It had another breakout here. And why? Because it made a new 3-year high on the RSI right there, and it also moved above 69.10. Guys, what I'm talking about here is rock solid mathematics. These things move. They move when they meet the criteria I'm talking about. And then look at the MACDs making a new high here and here. During every breakout, the MACDs broke out again, another multi-year high. Also notice what happens when a stock is moving from below 0 to above 0, like it did there in July, and like it did in this monthly move here. When both lines move above the 0 line, things tend to happen in either direction, up or down. But you can see here in July 09, and also in some middle of 2010, let's see what happened. July 09 was this breakout here. Excuse me. Oops. Got myself in a pickle here. Okay. Again, see this breakout here corresponds with the MACDs moving above 0. And then this also corresponds with this breakout in the middle of 2010 right there. Guys, I know the video is 30 minutes long. I thought I was going to make a 1 minute, 2 minute video, and here I am rambling along. But it's invaluable stuff. It really is. If you master these simple secrets, just take your time, understand them. And they're very simple. All you need to understand is that the RSI on the monthly needs to be moving to a new high. The RSI, the MACDs on the monthly need to be moving to a new 3-year high. 3 years. The chart has to be a minimum 3 years old. And if you can understand that, then you can remove a group of 20 stocks to 2 or 3, and one of them is going to be a blockbuster. I mean, this is exactly the reason why I was buying Apple in 2003. Now, and recommending it to subscribers. Now, remember let me go back and look at Apple, APL. 2003. Stock was not one of the greatest to own at the time. But you'll notice, again, it makes a new RSI high here, March, and this breakout from about 200 to 340, 250 is automatic money. Now, it's not automatic because somebody was losing money here. We have to be realistic. Somebody bought the stock about here and they lost money over the next month to 200. That was a big drop. Okay, so I'm not saying it's automatic, but remember, the stock has never closed below the breakout point. All right, and the breakout point was that. Once it broke out here in this month, it has never closed below that. Never. It's on fire. It's been on fire. So, but what I want to let's take a look at let's take a look at Apple, and let's go back a couple of years back to 2000, and let me just go. Let's give it a long time. Now, I was recommending this puppy in 2003. Okay, and why? Because in 2003, you'll notice stock was trading at what looks like $10 now. And the reason why I liked it at the time is it was breaking out. Wait a minute. It was okay. There was one breakout here, which corresponds to the breakout in 04. Okay, that is 3-year highs on the RSI right there. But there was another one slightly before that, which was a 3-year high sometime in 03, somewhere here. Because you see, this is 1 year. You got 1 year, 2 years, and then on the 3rd year it was making a new RSI high here sometime in middle of 03. This is where I was recommending Apple, and it's been up from $10 split adjusted all the way to 350. But what I'm saying is, irrespective, stocks only move when they hit the ultimate mother breakout. It's just a fact of life. If I go back and look at this stuff, there was a 3-year breakout somewhere here, and that corresponds to this breakout. Since this breakout somewhere from here to here. Now that's a big move. It only seems small because of split adjustment, but that probably took the stock from about $10 again all the way to about 40 or 50, about $40 or $30, doesn't matter. So I mean, it was a big move at the time, and this because it broke out into a 3-year run, into a 3-year high on the RSI here. So the ultimate mother breakout again shows up every time you see any move in a stock. I don't care what it is. You see the MACDs were also making 3-year highs even here and here. But the bottom line is that every time the ultimate mother breakout is observed, you'll see great things. Let me hurry up and let's look at one that I'm recommending right now. I have been recommending right now, and it is if I can get it right, oops, things are not working. I'm using two computers and I'm typing on the wrong keyboard. Sorry. Okay, so here's one this one has been on fire, breaking out from about $4 all the way to $8 in a couple of weeks. And let's take a look at the monthly, why I like it. You'll see why. I might not even look at the RSI moving back above 69. Great move. And it broke out from $4 to $8, $9 in about 4 months. It's a great move, man. It's amazing. And then I look at the RSI, the MACDs making new highs, OBVs, performance against S&P, everything. That's why I like the stock, and I recommend it to you guys, and it's doing great. Not because of any magic, but because it's meeting some minimum requirements. Let's take a look at a couple more quickly, because see, I believe in examples, nothing like examples. And once the video is made, it's there for posterity. You can look at it, review it. Again, this is one that is not the best, but it's doing well this month. Why? Because it's moving above 69.10. It's up 37%. Look at where the RSI is on the monthly. It's above this. It's moving above 69.10. I don't know what's going to happen to this one in the coming months, but I will not be surprised me if it does well. Remember, it has the capability or the opportunity of making an RSI mountain, because the RSI has yet to form a mountain going back many years on the monthly RSI. Okay, you can always revisit Muade's fast mountain to understand why that is important. Let's take a look at and you can see the on balance volume is trying to move to a new high. The performance against the S&P 500 is trying to move to a new high. The on balance volume is already at a new high, and then the MACDs, I believe, are also at new highs. At least the main MACD setting is at a new high. That just means the stock has power. It doesn't mean that it's automatic money. It means that the stock has power. Let's take a look at something else here. One more that has been. There's one more I'm recommending right now, and I would like you to look at this one months down the road, see what happened, because I bought this one actually today at 346. This is a weekly. You can see it's moving above about 69.10 for the first time in about it's moving above 69.10 after already being there over the last 6 months, which is what I want. And also, if you look at the monthly chart, I like it because it's already close to a new high on the all-time high on the monthly. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to make money. I have been recommending this stock to subscribers over the last in the last week and a half. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I am putting subscribers in a good position. You can see the on-balance volume is already at a very sharp new high. The MACDs already at new high. So I think this one might have a chance to do well for us. We'll see what happens. I think I'm going to stop the video there. It was supposed to be a short video. I've run around and I realized I'm going to make some notes to make another video talking about the Muade breakout, make another video on why I use 69.10, 50 and 30.90 as major mathematical RSI levels. So take care. I'm going to try and make these videos on and off, because ultimately what I want you to have a resource when you're bored over the weekend, when you want to just refresh your mind, because these principles that I have been teaching are not going to change. I don't think they're going to change. It's going to take much more than just a bad market. I think the principles are probably solid. There's something about them that makes them work. Eric Muade with Muade.com, as always. Peace and blessings. Hope to see you in another video.